What's poppin' T Squad? It's me, Keisha, and I'm here with my Euphoria Season 2, Episode 5 review. I'm putting up this review a little late because last night episode actually was quite triggering for me. And normally I don't get triggered like that when it comes to these shows. But this episode hit too close to home for me. Last night's episode was all about Rue's addiction, and it brought back so many memories of my childhood, memories that I don't like to really think about. But last night, like I said, it really triggered me and made me think back to a lot of moments when I was a child. So the episode literally started off with with Rue's mother confronting her about using drugs again, and Rue lies, of course, and says she's not using. And she was like, "You are." She was like, "If you think smoking a little weed is me using, okay, mom, and I bet you Gia told you." And Gia was like, "I didn't say anything." Like, mom, tell her I didn't say anything because Gia doesn't want to disappoint her sister or upset her or make Rue think that she can't trust her. And her mom was like, "I know that it's more than weed. You're on pills." And at that point, Rue is like, not only has she found me out, but if she knows that I'm doing pills, then that must mean she knows where they were at and she has taken them. And so at this point, Rue flips out and starts to spaz on her mother. And this is where I just became a ball of tears, because when I was a little girl, I was very much Gia. Being in a household with an addict and being scared and afraid, confused, upset, traumatized, powerless, when dealing with somebody that has an addiction, and when they have, these erratic episodes because they're having withdrawals, or because they get angry, or because you confront them about their drug addiction. When I was little, my uncle on my mom's side was addicted to drugs. He was on cocaine. I don't know if he was on crack, but I know he was on cocaine. And he would have episodes just like Rue, just like Rue. And I was little. When I say little, you guys, I was about maybe 7 or 8 when he started using. And it was really bad. Like, he would fight my grandmother. He got physical with her. He would yell at her. He would steal from her. He even lied one time and had his girlfriend at the time, a lady by the name of Francine, who was also using. He had her lie when I was 8 or 9 years old and call my grandmother's house in the middle of the night on a Sunday night. I had to go to school the next day, and he had her call and say and pretend like she was one of my mom's friends, and that she and my mom had went out to the club, came and went to a friend's house. They were, just chilling afterwards, and had her lie and say somebody broke into the house, tried to rob them, and that my mama wouldn't give up her purse, and that the guy shot and killed her. So for several hours, I remember being an 8 or 9 year old little girl watching my family freak out, crying, hooping and hollering, thinking that my mom had been shot and killed. Trying to call my mom's phone. She wasn't answering because she had her phone off the ringer because she had to go to work the next day. My dad came over, and I just remember sitting in my great grandmother's room, sitting in a chair, just staring off into space, thinking, my mama's dead. Like, I have no mother. Like, how do I move forward not having a mom? Long story short, my mother, for some reason, ended up putting her phone back on the ringer and answering the phone, and we found out that she was alive, well, hadn't even left the house. She had to get up to go to work the next morning. So they were trying to figure out who called and said this, because you have to remember, this was during a time where we didn't have caller ID yet. So we didn't find out until my uncle committed suicide that he had his then girlfriend Francine call and say that horrific lie. So, like I said, I experienced things like that with my drug addicted uncle. Like I said, his addiction got so bad that when his girlfriend Francine decided she wanted to get clean for her and her children, he decided that if he couldn't have her, no one could have her. She broke up with him because she wanted a better life for her and her children, and he wasn't having that. And he literally told my aunt on a Sunday again that tomorrow you're gonna find out that you'll hear that I've made it on this 6 o'clock news, or I'll either be on the cover of the St. Louis Post Dispatch. And my aunt, he told this to my aunt, and she didn't believe him. She just thought that, okay, Daryl talking shit. But lo and behold, when me and my grandmother were sitting on the porch, he snuck into my grandmother's kitchen and took two of her butcher knives. The next day, he got up, he caught the bus to Francine's job. She worked at like a old folks home or something like that. He snuck in through the back door. He found her and proceeded to stab her 31 or 32 times in front of all of her coworkers. When he thought that she was dead, he drug her down a flight of steps. And since he thought that she was dead, he decided to then kill himself. He went into the gymnasium and he got a rope and hung himself from the basketball hoop. And I was 10 years old when this happened. And no lie was spoken when he said that he would end up on the news and on the front of the Post Dispatch. He made it on both. He was on the cover of the Post Dispatch, and he was the leading story on the 6 o'clock news that day. So this episode brought back so many memories from my childhood, and seeing and witnessing my uncle act just like Rue, flipping out, yelling, cussing, using intimidation, breaking things. I've had to run across the street to our neighbor's house with no shoes on to have them call the police. I'm afraid because it's then just him and my grandmother in the house, and I didn't know what he would do to her. And last night when I was watching this episode, it made me think, like, when I was a kid, why did I never tell my parents that I was afraid? I don't know why I never spoke up. I don't know if it's because I didn't want them to say I could no longer go in my grandmother's house, because my grandmother was like a second mother to me. She raised me when I was a little girl. So I don't know if it was that, but I just know that when Daryl used to come around, I would be so afraid. I remember being balled up on the floor, and my grandmother had company over one day. It was the neighbor. My grandmother, you guys, literally was cool with everybody in the neighborhood, from the dope dealers to the Arabic men that owned the corner store. She was cool with everybody, and so she was cool with one of the hustlers in the neighborhood, this dude by the name of Derek, and he had stopped by just to check on her. And I remember I had a huge crush on him. He was so fine back in the day. He had a Jeep, he had the gold chains, this, that, and the third. And I remember him stopping by the house. I'm curled up on the floor, playing with my toys, watching TV, and her telling him, Daryl about to be over here in a minute. And I just remember being so afraid, and thinking, I don't want Derek to leave, because if Derek's here, he won't act like that. If somebody else is here, he won't act like that. But since it was just me and my grandmother and my great grandmother, who was blind, in the house, I knew that trouble was coming, but I never said anything. I just remember being on that floor praying, like, just stay, just stay, just stay, just stay. And when he left, I remember just being so afraid, because I knew what was coming. And sure enough, when my uncle got there, he caused a scene, started going off on my grandmother, literally. I remember at one point he was like yanking on the sink, like screaming and hollering, telling and demanding that she give him money because, he wanted to get high. And my grandmother literally was like, he should go across the street and tell Faye to call the police. And I remember darting out of the door, y'all. I didn't even have on shoes. And I ran across the street to tell our neighbor to call the police. And I remember looking out the window because I had to stay over across the street and watching as the police came to escort him. And I remember being so afraid because I'm like, what if he comes back after this? Nobody's going to be there to help us. And I was just, like I said, I was Gia growing up. And it's so traumatic watching somebody be addicted to drugs and feeling helpless and powerless against them. So when Rue's mother was like, I'm not scared of you. Oh my God, that reminded me so much of my grandmother. Oh my God, like I'm about to start crying. I didn't even know if I would even want to do this review, but last night episode was so important for people to see. Zendaya was a tour de force on last night's episode. She betrayed an addict so perfectly. She got all the nuances, the behaviors, the highs and lows, the lying, the pretending, the rage, the blaming. She got it. She went places that it is hard for actors to go to. That performance last night will most definitely be the video that she submits during award season for her nominations, because she will win for Best Actress for the Emmy, SAG Award, Golden Globes, and all of that. Last night's episode proved to the world that Zendaya is a problem. And y'all need to be very worried. This girl ain't even 30 years old yet, and look at what she is doing. That episode was so good. The confrontation that she had with Jules when she found out that Jules was the one that told her mom that she was back on drugs, and she actually was telling Jules some real shit when she was going off on Jules, like, you're a fucking viper, like you suck the life out of people and don't even give a fuck. But when she slapped Elliot in his head, y'all, I hollered. And then here come Elliot going, I should have never said nothing. This ain't none of my business. Well, bitch, duh. It's a good thing you said something, but you only said something because you was hating and you was trying to get in good with Jules and shit. Boy, you ain't feel guilty about what the fuck you did. Then we see Jules' mom able to talk her into going to the hospital to get help. And on the way there, Rue finds out that her mom is actually going to take her to a rehab facility, and she is adamant about not going back to rehab. So she literally jumps out of the car in the middle of traffic, almost get hit several times. Gia is in the car screaming and hollering, because it's like, what do we do? Like, it's two women, the dad is gone. Like, the mother has been through so much. Rue even told her mother to her face that basically she was a shitty mom that haven't been doing a good job. Rue then makes a run for it, and we see her running all over the city. And it's not just to get a fix, but we find out later in the episode it was to get things in order to pay off her debt with the drug connect. So she breaks into these people's houses, she steals their jewelry and their money, and she gets caught, and the police at one point are following her and chasing her, and she eludes the police and ends up hiding in a trash can. Like, the lows that an addict will go to was shown in this episode. Like, they don't care about nothing except the high. You could be the second coming of Christ. They would not care, because all they care about is that fix. And until they get it, nothing else matters. They will do anything and everything to get it. They will lie, manipulate you. They will conjure up fake tears. They will tell you what you need to hear. They are some fucking con artists, my nigga. And Rue at some point ends up at Lexi's house to try to, find some drugs there, but she's unable to. And Lexi's mom peeps game that this girl is high as a kite and calls Rue's mom. So when Rue is about to leave Lexi's house, she sees her mom there. And in order to get away from her mom, she decides to drop a bomb. Now, I thought that the way the whole Cassie and Nate situation was going to come out was through Lexi's play, but I was wrong. They decided to drop it this way, and I thought that that was genius, because here come Cassie telling us some, Rue, you just have to take it one day at a time, trying to give advice, trying to be this, optimistic person. And like I said, addicts don't give a fuck about none of that shit. They are here to kill and destroy. And Rue was like, oh, bitch, you want to give me advice? Okay, how about I give you some advice? She was like, Cassie, when was the last time you fucked Nate? Or when you gonna tell Maddie that you fucked Nate? It was something to that extent. And Maddie was like, the fuck you say? Maddie was on go. Cassie was like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's a drug addict. Why would you believe her? Oh my God. But Maddie knows her best friend and knows that Rue ain't fucking lying. And she was like, Rue, when did this happen? And Rue was sitting there holding her stomach because she is going through it with these withdrawals. Like, she is sick. And she was like, New Year's. Maddie then persists to try to whoop Cassie's ass, but they won't let her get to her. Rue has now caused World War III, and in the midst of all this arguing and yelling, she's able to slip out of the house and make another run for it. Girl, she at one point goes to Fez's house, tries to steal Fez's grandmother's medication, and Fez's like, dude, like, fuck that, Rue, I'm not doing this shit with you tonight. You gotta get the fuck up out of here. And it was sad that he had to literally lift her up and push her to the ground outdoors and close the door on her. Like, that's how bad that it was. At the end of the episode, she ends up at the Drug Connect's house and gives the lady jewelry and $2,000 in cash. And the lady was like, this is not a pawn shop, darling. When you gonna get the rest of my money? And Rue was like, soon, soon, soon. Now, everybody thinks that this lady is ditzy and, like absent-minded and kind of aloof and kind of like dumb, but she's very calculating. What she did, she was very diabolical, because she knows that Rue had never did drugs intravenously. I don't know if I'm saying the word right, but through her veins. So I felt like when I was watching it that she was trying to help Rue because she knew that Rue was really ill and she needed a fix, but it was also a way of punishing her for not having her money. And the worst way to punish you is to get you addicted to something else. So she then gives Rue morphine. And I had to close my eyes during that scene, even though I knew it was fake. I knew it wasn't a real syringe. It just made me cringe. And Rue wakes up the following morning in this lady's house. Everything is locked down. She has no way to get out. And I'm like, are they about to start sex trafficking her? I was like, oh my God. So Rue tries to get out of the house using the keys, and she's unable to. And then she goes into the bathroom and is able to slip out of the window and elude the drug lady's, I guess, boyfriend, who looked like he would literally rape and fuck her. So she runs home. And, well, I think that she ran home, because at the end of the episode, we see her mom sitting there and she hears the door open and she's like, Rue. And then the episode goes off. Whew. That performance was everything. Everything. Give Zendaya all the things. I was wondering when we would get an episode that was more based about Rue, because since episode 1 we kind of had been focusing on Cassie and Nate and that whole situation. We hadn't really been focused on Rue's character. So I was waiting for that, and baby, it was worth the wait. The music, the cinematography, especially the flashbacks to Rue when she was a baby and her father was still alive, just absolutely stunning. They do such a wonderful job with this show. Last night's episode was really heavy on my spirit, but I know that episode is going to help so many people to see the warning signs of addiction, to maybe see themselves in Rue if they are addicted to drugs, to be a warning signs to never do drugs. Because, whoo, child, to live it and be, I feel like it's almost harder on people that are not on drugs that have to deal with people that are on drugs, because we're the ones that, you know, get cussed out and yelled at and our things broken, our things stolen, hit or abused, and all of these things. And it's like we're the ones that have to carry the burden of caring and realizing that this person is not themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. And like I said, last night's episode really reminded me a lot through of the things that I went through as a little girl. And that's probably part of the reason why I don't drink, smoke, don't do anything, is because of what I witnessed growing up with my uncle and seeing, you know, how a drug addict behaves. So it was, I give last night's episode of Euphoria an A plus 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 plus. That episode will go down in history. Like I said, mark my words, Zendaya will win Best Actress at the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, and all of that stuff later on this year. She deserves it. She is a phenomenal actress. She will win an Oscar at some point when for a film. She deserves it. That girl is phenomenal. All right, you guys, that is my review of Euphoria season 2 episode 5. Let's talk down below in the comments section. Let me know what you thought about tonight's episode. Also, this Wednesday, I have dropping my Zendaya's most iconic red carpet looks video. I count down my favorite 14 red carpet looks of Zendaya's, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. Love you guys, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.